Okay, so this is the track-by-track breakdown of the second Kyshera album, Made in China. This album is a bit of a beast musically, technically, lyrically, conceptually. It's a monster album. It took ages and ages to put together, months of recording and editing, and it's a really difficult album, working around the clock all day, every day and night on it. I lost loads of weight when I was making this record. I got signed off by the doctor for exhaustion because I was like passing out and fainting and things like that. I had to have a chair behind me on stage when I was playing around that time. Pretty intense album to make, and probably a pretty intense album to listen to as well. Certainly one for the hardcore among you. It very nearly didn't come out as well. Once the album was made, we did actually have a label we were licensing it to at the time for release. And after almost a year or whatever it was of getting this ready, they basically folded and ran off with all of our money, and everyone else on their roster's money as well, and money they owed to loads of other companies and things. It's a big scandal within the industry over here, and they disappeared abroad, and I actually had to sue them, and that went on for a year. I had to sue them, and we won eventually, but that took a year whilst we were releasing this album independently to make sure that it came out, because there was no way that I wanted to not have this record come out. It was coming out by hook or by crook. So whilst after all the headache of making the record and getting it perfect, we then had to sue a label in order to get it out. So yeah, this album was a thrill ride for us from start to finish. But yeah, it's got everything in the kitchen sink on it. It's got electronics, backwards masking, loads of samples, spoken word bits, loads of different time changes, tempo changes, experimental 20th century classical techniques, musique concrète. It's got it all in there. So so let's just tuck into it anyway. I haven't listened to this album in a long time, so I wanted to wait until it was fresh for me to listen to with you, and sort of do this track by track to see what jumps out of me that I may have forgotten about. So let's get into it. It's track 1, Terrorists. Difficult to know which point to cut in on this one and talk, because there's so much to talk about, and it's worth pointing out there's not a single chord progression or riff or structure on this album that is in any way conventional. Dissonance rules pretty much reigns supreme on this one. Okay, so we're going into a little 5/8 electro kind of whispery thing. JFK and the old Obama in there, making their feature already. Pretty overt political emphasis from the outset on this one, setting the theme for the rest of the record.
Will it always be the same way? From my desperate race to maintain our cage, to the sweatshop depletion in war. Knowledge this virus has caused is everywhere.
Lots of use of juxtaposition and noise plays a big part in this record as well. So you got this really noisy sort of chaos bit here, and then it goes into like a nice soft Jeff Buckley-esque piece. So lots of extremes, changes of colour. shock factors.
When transfers, blood or oil, how can vice and virtue look identical? In which direction does society run? Why does scum always rise to the top? They can fuck with your genes and destiny.
Lyrically, I tried to cram as much into this song as I could, sort of bringing the listener up to date with the way that I see the state of the world. Instead of, I prefer not to talk about specific people because it just puts a date on the track, and the issue that you're discussing becomes redundant within a few years at least. So I prefer to talk about the bigger issues, the general issues that are the same regardless of whether it's this week's leader or next week's leader or government or whatever. It's just, the issues remain the same. So I prefer to talk about the big issues rather than focus on what I call the surface level politics of who said what to whom in House of Commons this week is ultimately mostly irrelevant. The JFK speech sample that was used by Muse on their new record. A couple of years ahead of them. Worth pointing out as well, on this record there's no silence. There's a slight bit of silence at the end of this track which goes into the next song, The Game, but after that every track is joined up. There's not a single gap of silence anywhere in the rest of the record. All the tracks overlap each other. So here goes. This is The Only Breath. Now we're into track 2, The Game. Instrumental track. This track is an experimental piece. Basically the rhythm section, the bass only plays one note. It plays an A note all the way through, and obviously the drums and the bass speed up progressively as the song goes through. This is a vamp technique whereby the lead instrument, in this case the guitar, has no kind of key center. So because it's just one note, the A note, the root can be whatever you want it to be, slightly technical. So I'm purposely playing outside of any key on this song, and the solo is totally improvised on the guitar. It's got no key, no scale to it. It's totally chromatic, and rhythmically as well, it's all over the place. As you can hear, it's mad. Mental. It's all one take, complete insanity. When we did this, so that Matt knew where the hell he was when he was playing the bass part, I had to make signals to him through the window to tell him when to sort of move up an octave and down an octave and things like that. It's just plugging away on the A note for about 2.5 minutes. Straight into track 3. This is Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll. This song is about the co-opting of the alternative into the agenda of the mainstream. It's that music concrete sort of influence coming in there. Totally random, totally pointless. Just creates that kind of odd, random feeling in it, which I like.
Lifestyle sent to pacify in your parents' suck, sex and drugs and rock and roll.
There's some backwards masking moments in there that which I remember putting in. I'm not going to tell you what they are, you have to figure it out. A million layers of guitar feedback and crazy noises and pedal destruction. Lovely bass playing from Matt again. Matt's bass work on this whole record is his finest moment, I think. Okay, Richard Dawkins coming up, which is going to lead us into the next track, which is called Sugar.
Drugs and rock and roll.
It's a really appalling stranglehold.
Okay, this next song, Sugar, it's pretty blatantly about religion, all religions.
Since childhood.
Man-made God, God made you. Through those motherly encyclopedias of truth, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, and Jew.
My perspective's probably quite changed on some of this stuff since I wrote this album. This song is quite anti-theistic rather than atheistic. I'm not so sure I've got that perspective anymore. It's still a pretty weird track nonetheless then. Okay, it goes into 11-8 in a second and then 4-4, 11-8, 4-4. Here we go.
Hey,
concrete moment with a pile of slowed down dogs and pigs, as you do. People praying in the background. Pretty hardcore lyrics. Not inaccurate though, I don't think. This is one of the songs that I got criticised most for the lyrics, obviously, by religious heads. There it is. Yeah, that means religious people, not anybody in, like, listening to it. Some people misunderstand a lot of the things I'm saying in some of these songs. They get a bit tetchy. That was meant to mean about drawing your morale and your moral high ground from the fact that you're not going to be punished in hell for not doing so is not the best reason for having that morality, is it? It's quite a selfish basis. Whereas me as a non-believer, I get my morality for the right reasons, rather than just to save myself going to hell. I just do it because it's the right thing to do, you know? This next song, Germ, is about the CIA program MK Naomi. Check it out. It was a request for $10 million to research a disease program, the creation of a disease that would be refractory to the human immunological system, which is what the HIV virus is. And the money was approved. This is all public record. So it's about that, basically. There's a lot of historical facts and info and data in the lyrics. Kind of reads like a bit of an essay. And the suggestion is that that's where AIDS comes from. Is that it's a man-made disease that was either accidentally allowed into the public sphere or purposely done so. Pretty dark track, this one, musically and lyrically. A lot of backwards masking in this, and news reports and things from that period in time in the 80s when all this stuff was kicking off. All of this is true, by the way. Scaringly so. The anomaly of instant disease scares, if you spell the letters out, is AIDS, AIDS.
The eyes of this planet's kings, with nothing but cattle to be bred and slaughtered as they need.
Bit of backwards mask in there, if you call that.
They created deadly sex that wants greater pesticidal people bleeding keeps an overpopulation in the water.
So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I am interested in that stuff, and I think there's a basis for a lot of it, apart from the ridiculous stuff. This one in particular has got a lot of validity to it, so I definitely recommend people check it out. MK Naomi and the MK Ultra programs. If you want some mainstream material on this, Jeremy Paxman's got a book called The Higher Form of Killing. But I mean, there's loads of documentation online about this as well. It's not actually that big a secret anymore.
Out of sight and out of mind makes the pill seem sweeter, until your number is the next one called.
Those mental juxtapositions again. I promise I wasn't on drugs when I made any of this record. Straight into the next song, Shelf Life. Straight back to back, no gaps.
Stop your eyes from screaming defeat.
Okay, we're into more of the middle of the record now, where it sort of mellows out a little bit and gets a little bit more structural. This one was written in one night when I was messing about with guitar tunings, and I came up with this crazy tuning, which I wrote this one and the next song, Mannequins, on pretty much within a day of each other. This song is about consumerism, psychology, and how it's linked to our sense of self-image and our culture and our social engineering. This crazy guitar on the chorus that sounds like a violin is actually a guitar, and I can't remember how the hell I did it, but it's pretty cool. If anyone's seen the video for this on YouTube, where we basically set fire to a few £1,000 to illustrate a point about the ridiculousness of our financial system, our monetary system, and just how inverted and unequal it is, and how it's completely unsustainable and a complete illusion. Check it out, it's got a lot of facts and info in there that some people might not be aware of. see already the album's a lot more traditional in its structure and its chord changes. It's going to go hog wild again in a second now. It goes into 7/8, 7/16, 5/16 or something. I can't remember anymore. It changes time every bar in a second. Anyway, check it out. 7/8 first. Back into the safety. I like using those musical tricks where you can create dissonance and chaos either rhythmically or tonally to create. They can be used effectively. They can be used just to be mental, like in Terrorists, just to completely create that overall feeling of chaos and confusion. Or you can use it, more tastefully, like just then, where you can use it as a sense of tension and release, almost, Straight into Mannequins. Still one of our most popular songs and our live favorite. Again, using that crazy tuning from the last song. I don't know what the tuning's called. I'm not telling you what it is either. In terms of the guitar, it's a Mesa Boogie rectifier on one side and loads of fuzz on the other. That's kind of the sound for this record, really. Using my special modified HM Strat with an extra pickup, rewired, and my Telecaster.
Yes or a no, or does it just keep celebrities afloat? They like the Swiss, say they're neutral, but they're quick enough to take your gold.
That line isn't meant to be directed at people who live in Switzerland, obviously. It's a reference to their government's actions during World War II, quite a while ago now. But I mention it as just a way of describing that contradiction, that hypocrisy that old celebrities have, whereby they say that they're neutral, they don't use their platform to speak about issues, but they're more than happy to take $1 million endorsements from Pepsi. That's not being neutral, is it? In the same way that the Swiss government weren't neutral during World War II when they were importing shitloads of Nazi gold into their plush and gorgeous country. So this song is basically saying, the message of this song is that everyone who's got any form of platform should use it to speak for the voiceless, those people that don't have a platform. Like a sense of responsibility that comes with being privileged enough to have a platform of some form. It doesn't have to be a media platform like being in a band or whatever, It could be whatever you feel is your platform. We're from You Can Help,
Nothing more than a prostitute with expertise when you could do only good. Like a torturer, only following their orders, protecting lies while the truth is poisoning. I hope they go up for your victims will haunt you. Burning politics and science and art. Who pays the pipe that calls the tune? But who needs who?
Normally by this point in the set, we've broken half of our gear, things have fallen over on us. My top's off, I'm normally in the crowd by now. No silence, no track breaks. Straight into the next song, Superstar.
Superstar, time will show just what you are. Helpless, frail, shallow, shy.
Obviously, the song is about celebrities and fame. Something I'm completely disinterested in. It means nothing to me at all.
Superstar, refused all by glitz and charm, and a slight
In a sane world, the people most deserving of celebration and reverence in our society would be those that live among us on our streets, the people that save lives every day, the firefighters, the nurses, the doctors, the scientists, the teachers, you know, and just the generally good people that keep our society afloat. Not these ridiculous clown caricature airbrushed fictional characters. Unlike our new album Circle, this album's pretty straightforward to follow what the content of the lyrics is talking about. It's very overt, and it was intended to be that way as well. I didn't want to shroud the point of what I was saying in wordplay and poetic license. I just wanted to lay on the table and fucking say it, you know?
If we merit mediocrity, that's all that we will ever be. And those who ride on the shallow tide, they get washed up quickest every time. When you have bought everything they told you to, the purpose of fashion is to resell.
Again, like I was saying on Shelf Life with that tension and release technique, which I can only describe visually in a painting reference, would be like painting with blacks and whites. You know, if everything's all black, you know, yeah, it's boring. It doesn't have the same effect. But if it's used in context with other colors, it has a totally different effect. It's effective. So when something's all dissonant all the time, it becomes normal. But when it's used next to something which is resonant, which is pleasant to the ear, then it has a much more shocking and gripping effect. And obviously when you go into something that's pleasant on the ear from something which is noisy and dissonant, the sense of relief is heightened. So you can use these tricks to play with. And I do that in terms of the songs on the record as well. So to give a little bit of relief from the first half of the record, I chucked a big bit of white resonant niceness through the middle of the record, so as to make the venture into the latter half of the record, which we're going into now, Messiah Mask, to give it the right level of impact that I wanted it to have, which I felt it may have lost if the whole album was just one big onslaught. It needed a little bit of shade in the middle, a little bit of light, in the middle, in context to the shade either side. But this song's a very, very intense, difficult to listen to song if you really get in with the lyrics. It's about sweatshops and the reality of what is necessary in order to maintain our consumerist Western culture. I wanted to be really, really graphical about this so that anyone who doesn't understand what goes on in the third world sweatshops and the third world in general in order to provide us with our trinkets. If they're not aware of that, then hopefully this song provides some insight into that. That voice you can hear in the background there is an actual testimony from a former sweatshop worker. You have to really listen in. It was buried so that it forces you to listen to it. A lot of the lyrics in this song are based upon stuff I read in John Pilger books. That's the style that he takes when he's talking about this stuff, is to be very graphical about it, to try and shake you by your collar, to make you wake up and realize this is real for real people's lives, the horror that they live through. So I tried to do the same with the music for people who haven't read these books, or don't want to, or won't. They can hopefully get it in the song.
Whenever the white man comes,
Okay, a bit more music concrete coming in. This section used to be about 5 times as long as this, but I trimmed it down. It's the clamour and clatter of Western consumerism. Okay, so this next bit is particularly graphic. I guess I'll just let this bit speak for itself. The lyrics are all in the CD as well, and probably online somewhere. Definitely worth reading it. Hopefully it's a wake-up call.
Where a dollar's more valued than where the oil pieces through the shanty towns, washing away the carcasses.
And all that stuff is actual testimony from real people's stories. That's actually documented. They're real everyday life experiences for millions of people all around the world, so that me and you can have fancy trainers. None of that was said in the song for dramatic effect or shock factor. That's daily reality for the majority of the world's third world citizens.
All those pretty packaged things, don't they look so innocent? They bring horror and desolation to any nation that cannot defend itself. Everybody here is free from any responsibility. The companies that pay the politicians, the market, the consumers that pay the whilst the stakes are rising.
It's not every day you hear stuff like that on a record. One of the benefits of being independent is you can say and do what the hell you like, and if people don't like it, then it's tough shit, because it's the truth. Well, if you made it through that bad boy, then you're in for a bit of a release, because it's gonna chill out a little bit. This next one's called Made in China, and a lot of people think that this one is also about sweatshops. It's actually not. It's about social engineering. It's using the analogy of sweatshops, obviously from the last track, and a theme throughout the whole album is to do with consumerism and the third world, and how we're locked in together in this self-destructive cycle. This song is about social engineering in our Western culture, how we are born and raised and educated and sculpted to be good workers and good consumers, to perform our role, almost as if we're created in a factory, churned out to consume and to pay tax and to do your job, or go to prison and get out the way. So we are made in China, just like the sweatshop goods that we consume. The reference to God as well at the start, in the first line. I mentioned God quite a lot on this record, not in the traditional sense, in the religious sense, but God in terms of a being that is all-seeing, all-controlling, all-creating, and all-knowing. And I consider that to be not a paranormal deity, but to be the conspiracy as such, the cartel of media, politicians, military, big business. They got all your data. They know everything about you. They control your schools. They control your media, your information, your news, your food. They are your maker. So I talk about God in that sense.
Us in our template, from third world debt to our mortgages, maneuvered fears, and a still life culture keeps us tame and indoctrinated now.
It's hard to double track a wah-wah rhythmically like that. Took ages. So I don't know if anybody can hear, under the toy guns and everything, the American national anthem is being played on a xylophone. Drives and reflexes are terms that come from psychology, where we have human reflexes and human drives. And the line is our drives and our reflexes have all been house trained to perform a function. Again, you won't get that in a fucking Justin Bieber song. This next song is a beast. This one's called Burning Witches. So we're in drop D tuning at this point, and then it goes into standard tuning in the verse, changes tuning throughout the song, using hip shots on our guitars and basses. This song is about prejudice and the psychology that creates it. That bit there, the drums are in 4/4 and everything else is in 7/8, which creates some interesting accents and overlays. Most of the tracks on this record had over 100 channels to them. I think this one had something like 120 odd channels on the mixer, which is just insane to mix. It took so long to get everything clear and get it right. If you listen to it with headphones on, it's a roller coaster. The whole album is, everything's panning around from side to side, and it's crazy. Yeah, this piece in particular was a really tough one to do. So in this song, it's basically talking about how all forms of prejudice, whether it's racism, sexism, classism, whatever it is, all has the same psychological seed. It all comes from the same place within us. It performs the same purpose for us as a person or as a social group. You can hear the hip shot tune in the guitar up there, going from D to E. It's hard to get that in time. A lot of the effects and weird things you can hear on the guitars and the electronics there, I can't even remember the hell we did it, to be honest. Wish I could remember how to do it, because it sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? 12 versions of me singing there, if one wasn't enough.
Political correctness won't change a thing as long as everyone keeps singing. 'Cause once they found a reflex, they can tune in and do what the fuck they like while the rats scramble over each other. But if only
Yeah, heavy duty track this one musically. This is probably the hardest one of the record to pull off. There's so many different changes and different layers and different style changes. Difficult.
we have no demagogues to tempt us in our colony.
Again, joining straight onto the next track, Ants. So all too often when people do music which is critical and political and social commentary and things like that, they don't actually offer any alternatives or any hope or any enthusiasm for action or change. So I thought, well, just like on the last album on Paradigm with the song Coalition right at the end, with this song, I also wanted to leave with a message of hope and change. And in this song, I just list a pile of things that I think we could achieve that are practical. So instead of some wishy-washy, let's all love each other and change the world nonsense, which doesn't mean anything, I actually list some practical, real-life things which we can achieve.
It's just a game for the rich. But there's no card that they can play that can be.
That drum programming as well is not a loop. I programmed that by hand. There's no loops or repetitions anywhere on it. And later on in the song when it comes in too, it took ages. That's the extent of my slide guitar playing skills there. Some great bass playing throughout this whole section.
Keep us needing them. 'Cause the biggest fear of the powers that be is the billions of ordinary humanity. 'Cause without our labor and purse, it all comes crashing.
That's the sound of the traffic outside my house, which I thought, instead of trying to battle with it, I'll just incorporate it into the section with the reversed acoustic guitar. And the idea of the chorus is it's 5-1 in terms of the 1% versus the 99%. If they were in a room with us, they'd be outnumbered by 5-1 at least. So how come everything's rigged in their favor? And why don't we do anything about it? Okay, more of that crazy drum programming that I was talking about. So in this final section, it's a big build-up outro, and I'm basically putting forth my vision for what I think our society could look like.
Freedom of speech and non-discrimination based on color, sexuality, gender, race, or physicality. No hand of force to make you submit. A system that protects life, not some spurious market where you can do what you please, as long as you don't obstruct another. And disputes are solved with words, not blood and terror. You don't have to be a dreamer or an idealist. Just know your power, know your enemy. Tomorrow could be this. Healthy bodies, healthy minds, and schools that teach to think. A plentitude of food and clean water to drink. Less time working and more time to live, with true social control of any representatives, where everyone is safe with endless opportunity to thrive in culture with no pollution, no fear of disease. You don't have to be a commie or an idealist. Just know your power, know your enemy. And tomorrow could be this.
Yeah, everything I just listed there is possible and doable. Isn't that the kind of world we'd all like to live in, and the kind of life we'd like to lead? And it's possible. It's totally possible. It's not some unrealistic, hippy-dippy, John Lennon, let's all lay in bed and love each other nonsense. Practical stuff which is doable, and many countries around the world do many of those things. And all of them are doable and possible and achievable tomorrow if we want it. We just got to realize our power and educate ourselves. Educate each other. Build bridges and work with each other. And organize. Little Ebo solo. Not often anyone does an Ebo solo. Ebo is a thing that shoots electrons at your guitar strings. Shines a big blue light on them, it's cool. Again, non-conventional chords there. So this is the climax of the album. And at the very end you hear an aeroplane crash that stops. That's a reference to 9/11 obviously. And say that all this stuff could be avoided if we used some sense and had a better system that worked for everybody. Jordan Maxwell.
And unless and until you are prepared to look at the whole truth, wherever it may go, wherever it may lead to, the more you educate yourself, the more you understand where things come from, the more obvious things become, and you begin to see lies everywhere. You have to know the truth, and seek the truth, and the truth will set you free.
And that's it. That's Made in China. It's an intense ride. There's a lot of information on there, lyrically, musically, and just listening to that again, fresh, is crazy for me. Obviously, I haven't listened to it in such a long time, and it just sort of renews my pride in that record. So much went into it, from the writing process right through the production, and just making it happen, and recording it, and editing it, and mixing it, and everything. It was just a real onslaught, and there was no limitations at all, topically, lyrically, musically. Just that's what happens when you've got just complete creative freedom to do your own thing and release it on your own label in your own time, without any commercial incentive whatsoever, or any influence from anybody at a label, or anybody that doesn't like the lyrics, or doesn't think you should say this or that. That's what the outcome is. It's an album like Made in China. And obviously, it's never going to be a mainstream received album. But I think as a work of art, it stands up, and will stand up, hopefully, for a long period of time, as a unique and daring and challenging and truthful piece of work that I'm really, really proud of. And I stand behind it. Everything that I say on there, and everything that was my intention in motivation in making it. And I really hope that you guys like it as well. It's something that you can listen to time and time again, and constantly hear new things. There's so much stuff in there. I heard stuff in there that I didn't even know I put in there. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on there, or if you've heard anything differently, or interpreted it differently, or got any questions or issues, or anything in general that you want to tell me about the record. I'd love to hear how you feel about the album, because obviously it took so much of me making it. I'd love to know how it was received by people from all corners of the earth, and I hope you liked it.